Suzanne's Paparazzi Jewelry, 24/7 shopping available. 160920 is the code. Show her some love, like she showed us.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome to the Coast to Coast Entertainment Network. I am Ace, and you're watching another episode of Sports Minute tonight. I have my co-hosts with me for the evening. We'll go ahead and we'll start out with that man that we call Mr. Big B. Big B, how are you doing tonight, my man?
Doing okay. Just got off our second episode of In the Den with the Cougars. Check that out. Always glad to talk sports with you guys and whatever else pops up. So can't wait for what we got to talk about tonight.
All right, and I know our other man, he's not James Shields, but we call him Mr. Big Game James. So, Big Game James, how are you doing tonight, my man?
There it is. I'm good. Well, hopefully I don't pitch like him. I remember when he was in San Diego, he was very undeceptive, and he would give up a lot of home runs. So I hope I don't do that tonight.
Hopefully not. But, it was another great week of sports. And, there was a few things that I kind of wanted to touch upon here. I kind of wanted to touch upon a little bit of that NBA trade deadline. And there was some stuff that, that we didn't really get to touch on last week and things like that. But the first one about the trade deadline I want to talk about is that huge trade that the Nets made with the Phoenix Suns, sending Kevin Durant to the Phoenix Suns. And so that makes the Phoenix Suns team a very scary team. You have DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, Chris Paul, Kevin Durant now. So I'm going to start out with Big B on this one. So, Big B, with the trade that the Phoenix Suns made with the Nets, does this make the Phoenix Suns the team to beat?
On paper, yeah. I mean, can they put it all together on the court? I mean, you name four big guys that like to have the ball. So if they can put together, play some D, yeah, they're gonna be scary down there in Phoenix.
So I've got, and I don't know if you're kind of going the same route, but I've got the Suns going up against the Warriors for a shot to go to the NBA championship. That's what I've got. And then I've also got, depending on how healthy Giannis is, I know that he's kind of got an injured wrist right now. I don't know how long he's going to be out for. So the Bucks are going to lose some ground there. But I've also got, I think it's going to come down between the Celtics and the Bucks. With truly me, I think that the Celtics are going to be in the finals again, and I think it's going to be the Celtics against the Suns. And in the end, I think that the Suns are going to take it. James, no offense to you. I know you're a Clippers fan. I know you are. But, yeah, right there. And we're going to get to your Clippers here momentarily. But we're going to go ahead and, like I said, we're going to talk about the Phoenix Suns and the Kevin Durant trade. So, James, what's your thought on the Kevin Durant trade? Does this make the Suns the team to beat?
Well, they basically mortgaged the future for right now. And when you think about it, it didn't really hurt because You have Chris Paul for a couple more years. Devin Booker signed, 5 more seasons. Kevin Durant you have under control just for a little bit. And you're going for it. And you feel like in this Western Conference, you have the Clippers, you have the Mavericks making moves. Warriors didn't really make a move, big of a move, just sending out Wiseman, getting back Gary Payton II. But the Warriors, like you said, they can always make a run. Anybody can. I'm interested more to see how Kyrie and Luka play together. You know, they've had a struggle at it at first, but I think maybe they'll get it together or it'll blow up in their face. Same thing here with the Suns. Same damn thing where you have postseason failure all over the team when you think about those 3 guys. And you throw in DeAndre Ayton, who has to take a step back with the offense. All he has to do basically is rebound, catch alley-oops, score if the ball comes to him off the rim, basically, because he's not going to get any touches. There's Booker, there's KD, there's Chris Paul. Chris Paul, gets hurt at the wrong time. I know. Devin Booker has been out for a while, but, he's eager to come back, and he remembers that 21 finals. And I know he's always wanted revenge. And then Kevin Durant, he keeps moving around, and it's to the point where it's like, well, maybe he can't make it on his own. That's why he keeps not only joining these big teams, but now he gets traded to a big 3. But when you think about the Suns, they're just going for it, and I don't blame them at all. I think they see that they have a vision here. They can beat the Warriors if they don't collapse, if they don't self-destruct, basically.
Right.
You mentioned the East, though. I think a lot of people are doubting the Cavaliers, and I know they didn't do much at the deadline, but when they made the trade for Donovan Mitchell, and when the Knicks botched it like they always do in the offseason, because that was his preferred destination, was the Knicks. Yeah. He's from New York. He's a Met fan. That would have been great, and the Knicks would be really on the map. But the Cavaliers, with their young talent, they didn't give up too much. Just Sexton, basically. So I think, depending on Giannis and depending on Jaylen Brown, their injuries with those 2 teams at the top, and Philly, if they can get over the Doc Rivers hump, like I know, I think people are doubting the Cavs, and I hope they prove people wrong.
And I'm not going to say that you're wrong about the Cavs. But I am one of those people that I will tell you that, in a way, I am kind of doubting the Cavs, because to me, I just feel like they don't have enough star power. And you can agree with me or disagree. That's completely okay. Now, I'm not saying that the Cavaliers are a bad team. I just think that they're still a few people away from a championship run. I still think they're a few guys away. But, going back to the Kyrie Irving with Luka, I think that's huge for Dallas, because Luka has never really had another superstar with him with Dallas. He really hasn't. This is kind of the first time he's actually had a superstar there. And I do agree that this could go one of 2 ways. It could actually be a success, or it's just like you said, it could just blow up in the Mavericks' face. I think it's going to come down to which Kyrie is Dallas getting.
Yep.
The flat earth one or the logical one?
Well, the way I put it is, are we getting the Kyrie that basically single-handedly, and I know people are giving LeBron James credit, when the Cavaliers won their championship, but you got to give Kyrie a lot of that credit, because Kyrie averaged over 40 points a game in the final 4 games. So it's like, you got to give Kyrie a lot of credit. So is that the Kyrie that you're getting, or are you getting the Kyrie that's kind of loco at times. So it's, so you got to figure out which Kyrie you're getting. And so,
but it also too depends on if they're winning or losing. Because if they're losing, you're gonna get the cancerous Kyrie. If they're winning, you're gonna get the nice Kyrie. So that's where it comes down to, winning and losing.
well, no, and I definitely get what you're saying there. But that's almost with any player though, whether you're winning or losing on how things are going to go. Because this is the thing, like, people will defend LeBron James over and over and over if the Lakers are losing. Yep. And people will defend him, be like, well, he has a right to whine and cry because they don't put pieces around him. And then Kyrie's like, well, this sucks, we're losing. And everyone's like, oh, Kyrie, he's just being a baby and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, okay, so why can one man complain but the other can't? And so it's like anybody at some point is going to whine and cry if they are if they're losing games.
Yep.
And so
right.
And so going back to James, what you were saying with the whole Kevin Durant thing here, to where he kind of moves, from place to place to place. We know that, when he went to the Nets, he did come out and say that he was kind of hoping that the Nets would be his final team. That he would. He did say that. He did come out and say that he was kind of hoping that he would end up playing the rest of his career with the Nets. And now, in the end, though, I don't want to say that this was all Kevin Durant's fault. And the reason I'm saying with being traded from the Nets, this is the reason I'm saying it, is because I think that this was potentially kind of the Nets' call on this too. Because I think once they traded Kyrie, they figured, well, I guess we might as well just start from scratch again and get rid of Kevin Durant. And I think Kevin Durant probably would have stayed, but the Nets figured, we'll just trade him too. We'll just offload Kyrie. We'll offload Kevin Durant. We'll get picks. We'll get people back, and we'll just start from scratch. And so, when you look at what the Nets did by offloading Durant and Kyrie, well, going into the All-Star break, they were, I believe they were like 33-22 or something like that. So from the record they had after they traded Durant and Kyrie, do you feel like the Nets have enough to where they can sustain potentially at least getting in a play-in game? And so, Big B, I'll go ahead and start out with you. Do you feel like the Nets still have enough to where they might be able to maybe sneak in?
With that little play-in tournament or play-in game that they get, you hang around there. I mean, it's kind of winning you're in. So if they hang around what is it, the 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th spot, anything can happen in that one game. Would I put my money on it? I don't know. I don't know, but as long as you get in that final game, especially if you're at home, you got better odds. But if you're on the road, it's going to be kind of tough. But they stay in that last 4 playoff spots. They got a shot to get into the game, and that's what a lot of teams want. Just get in.
All right, James, how about you? Do they have enough to sustain it?
I don't think they have enough to stay where they are at the 5th spot. It just depends how the Knicks are. They're number 6, and they're 2 games behind. The Heat are 2.5 behind. And then you have the Hawks that are, let's do quick Gonzalez math. Hawks are
I'm not saying in the 5th spot. I'm just saying, do they have enough to sustain to where they'll be able to get in?
Right. That's why I mentioned that, because Miami is, like I said, 2.5 out. And if the Knicks and Heat get hot, mind the pun, the Nets could drop out of that and get, sadly be in the play-in. And right now the Raptors could get hot. I'm not sure on the Bulls if they can. Wizards are like up and down. But when I look at the roster, it's like it's basically leftovers from other teams. Ben Simmons, he's basically nothing and untradeable.
Right.
I think that's why that whole thing would get me out of here with Kyrie and get me out of here, KD. I think that's why. I heard rumors KD was not happy with Ben and his lack of playing, lack of caring about the game. They have Juan Atabi, Seth Curry, Nick Claxton, Joe Harris, Russell O'Neal, Patty Mills, still a great three-point shooter. And then Cam Thomas has been coming out of nowhere. He had that streak, actually, where he had like 40-point games in like 3 straight games or 2 straight games, whatever it was. I remember against the Clippers. So he can really show out. And you add Mikal Bridges into that, Spencer Dinwiddie, Cameron Johnson, Dorian Finney-Smith. So when you have all these players, you have all these shooters, it's a make or miss league. So if they get hot, if they make their 3-pointers, they have a shot. And then you have big guys in there, like I mentioned with Claxton, that really just has to rebound. So if they make their threes, I think they'll be able to stay where they are. You know how the game has changed to, everybody shooting 3-pointers. That's the only way. If they make their 3-pointers, maybe they could stay in the play-in spot. But I wouldn't be surprised if they fell all the way out. It just depends on how the underachieving teams do, like Indiana, Chicago, Washington, Atlanta, and the other ones. It just depends. So, like I said, I don't see them. And Toronto, throw Toronto in there. They could get hot at any time. So, if they make their threes, they could stay where in the play-in tournament.
Okay. All right. That was a good in-depth breakdown there. So I think we kind of are like 50-50 on whether or not the Nets actually will be able to sustain it and make a play-in game. I'm right there with you. I think still being 11 games over 500 when you trade Kyrie and Kevin Durant, that helps. I mean, that definitely helps when you're 11 games over 500. This would not have to be an epic collapse because we've seen worse collapses before. But
the thing is, when you're 10 games above 500 like they are now, and you said they were what, 33 and 21 at a certain point.
They were 33 and 22 when they made all those trades.
You don't really see that. Like maybe in hockey you see that. If a team is overachieving in baseball, you'll see that. But like not the 2 main guys. So that's amazing to see it doesn't happen in the NBA much, where even though you're doing well, you have 2 guys that are your main guys and you have to trade them because they won out and it's best for the future. It happens in baseball a lot, but never in the NBA. I just wanted to point that out.
You know what? I agree. But it started because of Kyrie. Because he's the one who requested the trade. Had he not requested the trade, I think that Kyrie and Kevin Durant would both still be with the Nets.
You know what's funny? 2 weeks,
I do.
2 weeks before he requested the trade, he was like, "Oh, I can see myself re-signing here."
Yeah.
And then 2 weeks later, he says, "Oh, I want out. I'm good. I want to get out." That's how unstable his mindset really is.
Well, I think it was because they could not reach that agreement like he wanted. He wanted a certain amount of money, and I don't think that they could reach that agreement. That's why he chose to kind of be he wanted to be traded. I think that's truly what it came down to. But speaking of money aspect of things, let's jump over to the NFL quick.
Oh boy.
And yes, and there's a reason why. And Big B, I know you said, "Oh boy," and I think you kind of know where I'm going with this. And where I'm going with this is simply because Daniel Jones,
oh boy,
of the Giants, came out and he's asking for $45 million a year as the quarterback of the Giants. And the Giants have come out and said, "We're not giving him that. We're not giving him $45 million a year." They're not going to even sign Saquon for that amount of money. So James, I'm gonna start. Oh no, I'll go to Big B. James just had a lot to say with the NBA right there. So Big B, I'll start with you. What's your thoughts on Daniel Jones requesting $45 million a year to be the quarterback for the Giants?
Now, I mean, you can ask for whatever you want. I mean, you know, we brought it up before many times. I know I have. I mean, players are getting paid way too much. I think we all. But again, you know, we're working our jobs, and if my job offered me, you know, $50 an hour to work, you know, I'm going to take it. Am I going to request it? No. For a guy that, you know, I don't have his stats in front of me, but I don't think he's played a full season since his rookie year, even if he's done that. The Giants, yeah, they had a pretty decent year this year in the playoff run for most of it. Actually, they were in the playoffs. Sorry. Yeah, they played the Vikings. But you know, to come out and request that's why a lot of athletes just get that bad name. You know, that's why fans don't like sports that much. I mean, yeah, we like going, but you know, it's just hard to support people that are making this type of money. And you can say the same for Seattle. Seattle's in a boat now where they might have to pay Geno Smith $30+ million after 1 year. I don't get it. I think Daniel Jones needs to rethink that, because if the Giants don't sign him, there's not many teams out there that need a quarterback, especially one that doesn't play a full year. So, you know, he might be looking at, you know, sitting the sidelines, riding the pony, you know, for a while, you know, before he gets that type of money. So, if I'm Daniel Jones, I kind of rethink my statement. Of course, that just gives him room to negotiate and be like, okay, yeah, I'll drop it down.
So I'm right there with you, Big B. Look, there are you know, quarterbacks out there that are going to be, you know, asking for you know a certain amount of money for you're going to have like Lamar Jackson, who's going to want a good amount of money, you know, potentially Derek Carr, guys like that. Is Daniel Jones in that category with like a Derek Carr, Lamar Jackson, or somebody like that? That would be hard to say. Should Daniel Jones get $45 million a year? No, I think that the Giants could definitely spend that money elsewhere. So, James, I'm going to go ahead and get your thoughts on that also.
Well, first, I think the Giants should re-sign Saquon Barkley, but be smart about it. Once you get to a certain limit where it doesn't hurt your team, then pull out. With Daniel Jones, though, with the Giants, I think that rumor of $45 million, that was made out by his agent, and then it spread out like wildfire on Twitter. And so whenever something like that happens, it just drives up a price. Now, last week, I heard Lamar Jackson wants $50 million a year. Mm-hmm. So that's why Jones or his agent, somebody said, well, I know I'm not as good as Jackson. I'm $5 million less than him, which is still a big, huge number. Remember, everything's going up now. So it's like these numbers aren't as big as we think. It's still a big number, but it's not when you think about how much things are and how much it takes to sign somebody. For the Giants, though, I really think they should re-sign him or franchise tag him. But when you franchise tag him, I think it was $38 million, I want to say, around there.
Lamar Jackson is getting but I'm saying like Lamar Jackson got the tag, and Lamar Jackson's making $45 million on the tag.
So that would be right below for Jones. I'm looking at Jones. You know, he had 15 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That's up from 5 and 2 less interceptions. You know, 2019 he came on the scene, 24 touchdowns, 12 picks. We know he's a great runner.
Nothing. I mean, you got Lamar Jackson, who's played in the Super Bowl, MVP, you know, Pro Bowler, and Jones has nowhere near that.
Lamar
Right.
Jackson's never been to a Super Bowl.
I thought he was.
No,
No.
he has one playoff win against Tennessee.
One playoff. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So he's been to a playoff. He's got MVP.
Right. That's why I think a lot of people are timid to give him a big contract just because he gets hurt at the wrong time, too. Think of this year. He got hurt at the end of the season. He wasn't able to play in the playoff game. He didn't even show up for the playoff game in Cincinnati. But when it comes to Jones, I'd be real careful. If I was the Giants, I would tag him. I would re-sign Barkley. If you don't get Jones, I would go out and try to draft for a quarterback or just sign one who can pass the ball and then draft some receivers, cut Kenny Galladay, just eat that money up, and then start from there. You can always get more offensive line help, but if the price is too much, just pull out, I would say, if you're the Giants.
Well, yeah, and that's why I'm trying to figure out if the Giants will indeed actually be able to make a deal with Jones. Because if Jones is asking for $45 million a year, obviously, if you look at the situation, I can probably tell you that the Giants and Daniel Jones are far apart. Like, if I'm the Giants, I'm looking at the cap number of $45 million. I'm like, no, dude, like, we're far off. Like, no, we're not paying you $45 million, and we're not even close. So that's why I'm looking at that going, does Daniel Jones actually return to the Giants? Because are the Giants wanting to tag him? Probably not, because the thing is like, if they can't make a deal with Saquon, they're going to want to tag him before they tag Jones.
Yeah.
And if I'm the Giants, I would want to tag Saquon before I would tag Jones. Saquon to me is going to mean more to the Giants than Daniel Jones will.
Right.
And so there is ways that the Giants could cut cap, exactly like you're saying. Kenny Galladay, there's one. Get rid of him. They don't need him. I mean, he's done absolutely nothing since being with the Giants. He went from a 1,000-yard receiver, like a 70-some catch receiver, and like 11 touchdown receiver, to last year he had like 4 catches for like 20 yards or something like that. Huh?
One touchdown in Week 17 against Philadelphia. That was it.
That was about it. And then everyone's like, oh, for him to get a bonus, he only needs 76 catches and 1,000 yards in the final week of the season and like 8 touchdowns. And I was like, oh, okay, yeah. So we knew that definitely wasn't going to happen. So we've kind of touched on the Daniel Jones thing. We kind of feel like, yeah, Daniel Jones is not going to get that amount of money. But, Big B, I'm going to ask you, do you actually foresee him staying with the Giants?
Man, I don't know. I mean, I don't follow the Giants that well. I know maybe our man Chris could kind of elaborate because it's in the division, but if I'm the front office, I kind of sit down and just kind of see where we're at and what we need. And if we're going to pay Barkley the money, I mean, Jones is going to come way down like 20-some million, to be there. But outside of that, I can see him ending. I hate to say it, probably in Indy, probably in Houston. A team where they're kind of, who knows what they're doing, because I think the Giants are ready to make a run after what they did last year. So if they go out and get a solid quarterback, that's out there, Jones is by far probably in the 12 to 20 range in quarterbacks that are available right now to pick up. So I don't think he'll be back.
And Big B, I'm not laughing about the statement that you made about Houston. I just think it's funny how like every quarterback that's available, everyone's like, well, they could end up in Houston. And I was like,
I saw your name on the quarterback list. So
right, yeah. Yeah, and so I'm sitting there going, but what quarterback is going to be like, well, let's see, I can go to Houston, or I can go to the Jets, or I can go to Las Vegas. Where am I going to go? Oh, I think I'm going to take Houston. No, I don't think a lot of quarterbacks.
Houston's going to be the third option in that scenario. But again, you got to go where you got to go, and Houston's the only one going to offer you money, and you want to play pro football. That's where you got to go.
Well, that's definite. I mean, if Houston's gonna offer the most money, then somebody definitely would potentially go there for sure. Oh, what's up, J Mac?
Nothing. I was actually just waiting for the show to be over to talk to y'all, but it's fine. What are we talking about?
So we're talking about how Daniel Jones is requesting $45 million a year from the Giants, and the Giants are basically looking at the situation saying, yeah, no, that's definitely not going to happen. So would you agree that Daniel Jones should not get $45 million a year from the Giants?
You know what? Man, I don't know, because I would have told you that, was it 3 years ago, that Dak Prescott never would have got $40 million a year for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
So because Dak Prescott got $40 million a year for the Cowboys, and because Deshaun Watson is the highest cap hit in all of the NFL with $54 million. I honestly don't know what to tell you. I don't know if they'll give him $45 million now, but I bet someone does.
Well, no. I'm not saying whether or not they will. I'm saying if you're the Giants, should you take that chance on Daniel Jones?
That's the Giants.
I don't know, but what's the alternative?
Well, there are going to be other free agents out there. I mean,
Okay.
I mean, let me ask you this: if you're the Giants, would you rather want Daniel Jones or do you want Derek Carr?
Oh man.
I know it's tough.
Why you got to put it like that?
Right.
Why do I have those two options? I mean, give me Carr, not by very much, but
I say you go in and draft one. You let them.
I mean, yeah, you're gonna draft one, but the only way I said give me Carr is because, I mean, at least I don't know. I don't even know what to say. But
yeah. All right. No, we are. Hey, that's completely okay. But yeah, we're gonna go ahead and move on to our next topic, which is we know that right around the corner, free agency is coming right around the corner. It is really, really close. It's in March, and this is the days kind of where it gets super exciting, because you kind of see to where people agree in principle to the contracts, and then like the day of, sometimes you see, well, this person actually changed their mind and switched. So when you think about it, and you think about some of the free agents out there, and we saw today again that Robert Woods is another guy who is basically getting cut off Tennessee. And I'm not saying that's a big, that's not like a big signing, but it is a veteran. It is a veteran receiver that could help a young receiving core with people. You saw a Taylor Lewan. He's also getting cut from Tennessee also. That's big on the offensive line. So Taylor Lewan is a guy that I'm like, okay, that's huge. So with that, like with free agency coming up, what are some big time names where you could see potentially them signing with teams? So James, think about some big names, and where do you foresee them signing?
Well, unfortunately for the Eagles, they're not going to be able to keep all their interior defensive linemen. So Javon Hargrove, the defensive lineman, who's huge. I mean, they got all those sacks this year. I can see him going to the Bears because they're going to draft offense. Whether that'll be a quarterback, I don't know what to think about Fields, but I think that's going to happen. Let's see. Lando Brown Jr. I think everybody needs a tackle. I think he could go to New England. I think that's a good fit. With Derek Carr, I know, man, he's free, and he did it his way. I think he'd be a really good fit with the Jets. I think they have all the weapons for him. Garrett Wilson, won Rookie of the Year. I mean, just think about it. He put up all those stats, and he had 3 quarterbacks, like none of them good, with Mike White, Zach Wilson, and then Joe Flacco, and he still put up a hell of a good season. So I really like that. I'm thinking Marcus Peters. He could get signed somewhere. Brandon Graham, like I mentioned, with Philadelphia. Philadelphia is going to lose a lot on defense. They're going to keep everybody offensively, but defensively, it's going to be a changing year this offseason. Gesicki with Miami, you can see him get loose since they're going with speed on the wide receivers. Jadeveon Clowney could be someone who goes somewhere else, and he's bounced around a lot. One more thing. Alan Lazard. I know he's done with the Packers, so he's a free agent out there. And a team like the Giants who needs receivers, he could probably go there. So Randall Cobb, no, I think he'll retire. But, yeah, look for Alan Lazard maybe to go to the Giants, depending on who their quarterback is.
All right, so here's the question for you, Big B. So you have Bill Belichick with the Patriots, and we know how Mac Jones last year was really inconsistent. And people were talking about, is Bailey Zappi the guy? Is Mac Jones the guy? So with free agency coming up, do you actually foresee the Patriots sticking with Mac Jones, or do you think that Bill Belichick might take a chance and be like, hey, we're going to go out and get a veteran?
Yeah, I can see him, but he doesn't. He's a guy that I see through the media, as they talk. He doesn't want to be wrong. So should they go with the veteran? Yes. I mean, there's been times, as James put in our chat, going back there. I can see him maybe making a move for Teddy Bridgewater. Teddy Bridgewater seems to be a decent backup. When he gets the chance to come in, he fills in pretty nicely. But Belichick doesn't. He's one of those coaches that doesn't want to be wrong. So I don't know. I think if they get a veteran, it'll be late in the to kind of see who's left over. But I think he's going to try to stick with his guys.
All right. J-Mac, this next question's for you. So we know that, Houston, they drafted Davis Mills a couple of years back. He's kind of been in and out as a starter. They tried Davis Mills and they tried Kyle Allen. Neither of them worked. So with Houston, we know that they're probably not going to stick with Davis Mills. So does a veteran quarterback sign with Houston? Does Houston get lucky and they're able to bring in a veteran quarterback, or does Houston end up having to draft another quarterback and having to try and develop a quarterback?
Paxton Lynch is the answer.
Paxton Lynch, right?
First quarterback in football history to get benched in 4 leagues.
Right, in 4 leagues, yeah, absolutely.
I don't know what the problem is in Houston. Are they going to get a veteran quarterback? Probably. Is it going to be someone that's going to help them win? Probably not.
I mean,
knowing the Houston franchise, knowing Bob McNair, they're going to go out and sign like Joe Flacco or something.
If I may talk on the Texans real quick,
Yeah.
they could, they didn't get a chance to draft Vince Young. Tennessee got him, right? So this time I think they'll get Bryce Young, and they'll just start with that era for quarterback. That's what I think with Houston. And then they try to build around him and get someone like DeMeco Ryans. I know he's a defensive head coach, he's defensive background. But hopefully they get an offensive mind that will pair with Young that will do well. That's what I see Houston doing, honestly. Unless Chicago trades Fields away and they get Young, then you can go out and get C.J. Stroud, the Florida quarterback. I'm blanking on his name. But I think they go Young with quarterback. I think they draft a quarterback.
Now, before you get back to Ace, where has all this Fields trade rumors come from? Because
I don't know.
I cannot see the Bears doing that.
No,
I don't either. I don't see
so
it.
Much salary cap right now. They can go out and pretty much get half new players on the offense, half new player on the defense, and have a whole new team for Justin Fields next year. I don't get where the Bears are going or where these rumors come from.
I'm not sure. Well, maybe it's simply because the Bears have the number 1 overall pick, and everyone's saying that the best player on the board is supposedly C.J. Stroud is the best player on the board. So that's why everyone's like, okay, if Chicago's going with the best player on the board, that's what the GM and everything has said, was that they're gonna draft with the best player available. Well, if they're going with the best player available, then it's going to be a quarterback.
I mean, the only reason I could think that Fields would be on the trading block in any talk is because it wasn't their guy that they drafted. But man, that would be. I think a lot of Bear fans, unless they hit a home run with everything this offseason if they trade them, I think a lot of Bear fans would be very upset if they missed. I mean, look, they've already missed out on a Super Bowl quarterback a few years ago. And I'm not saying Fields or Strauss could be that guy, but I don't know. I reached out to Messer when I first heard it. He said it's just the part of a first round, try to raise up that wanting the first round pick. I don't know.
Yeah, it's simply speculation.
Yeah.
It's speculation and rumors. That's what you're going to hear. But I will honestly tell you, it's a load of crap, man. Look, I'm not a Bears fan. I've always hated the Bears, but there's no way. I mean, no way that Chicago's going to trade away Justin Fields. I just don't see it. That would be, I don't even know what I would say if they did it. I would be like, okay, I guess that's a typical Chicago move.
Exactly. I mean, unless they think that Stroud's the guy, but we know that a lot of these prospects coming out are hit or miss. I mean, I think I heard something that the last quarterback or over the last few years, only one quarterback taken in the top 3 has been a Super Bowl quarterback or something like that. So
and so speaking of quarterbacks, we saw this that came out that said Eric Bieniemy, the OC for the Kansas City Chiefs, he is accepting the job for the Washington Commanders as the OC because, and the reasoning he's accepting this job is because he's thinking that he's losing out on a head coaching job because of Andy Reid and Patrick Mahomes. So I'll start out with J-Mac on this one and say, do you think that Eric Bieniemy is making the right decision by saying, you know what, I'm going to take the OC job in Washington to prove to everybody that I can actually be a head coach. I can do this right by going to a team that needs help that doesn't have Patrick Mahomes or Andy Reid as the head coach?
I don't know. And that kind of like, wouldn't it kind of be like being the assistant manager and then they're like, hey, come to this store, and then you go and you do it again and you're in the same position?
Well, but he's doing it because he's trying to prove that he's not just a good OC
Okay,
because of Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid.
But why should he have to do that?
Yeah.
Like he
shouldn't have
do
to.
that. He shouldn't have to do that to prove himself. I mean, there's plenty of other guys that. I mean, come on. The Broncos hired friggin' Nathaniel Hackett as a friggin' head coach.
They thought Rodgers was coming with him.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
I mean, Adam Gase.
I don't know. I can't defend that.
Yeah, you can't. Yeah, you really can't defend Adam Gase.
Adam Gase got a head coaching job. I mean,
twice.
yeah. Well, I mean, it's the Jets the second time, so that's a lost franchise. I mean, I swear to God, this year the coach was, he was flipping a coin before the week and being like, "Oh, this is my starter." I don't know. Same job, different team, same results for Washington. I agree. I mean, I would pick Taylor Heinicke as my quarterback though in Washington if it was me.
What else does that guy have to prove that he earns that job? I don't get it.
I mean, he is technically Carson Wentz's backup. All he needs to do is make the Super Bowl now. So, and he'd be the third Carson Wentz backup to make it.
Well, Carson Wentz is probably not going to stay with Washington.
Well, no,
he should retire.
Carson Wentz should retire.
He should retire. Like that dude can't play anymore. Like if you get bounced around so much and people keep paying you, okay, I can see keep on playing.
But the thing is, James, you're not wrong, you're not right, but he was one injury away from possibly being the MVP of a league.
That's fun.
He was
taking his team to the Super Bowl. I mean,
but once after that injury, he wasn't the same anymore.
go backup, be a backup, be a serviceable backup.
He wasn't the same. So, Big B, I have to ask you: do you agree with J Mac's take that Eric Bieniemy should not have to prove that he can do this?
No, he shouldn't have to prove it because we've listed off how many coaches have gotten second time, third time chances. Now, if he does go there, and let's say Kansas City falls off and Washington makes is in the playoff hunt, most of the year. Was it enemy? Was it the talent? I mean, yeah, it'll show, who is the guru of the whole situation. It might propel him to being a quarterback, but it's the same talk that we have with Brady and Belichick. Who is the guy? Who is actually the mastermind? So. I think that's the only thing. He shouldn't have to prove himself. He should, we talked about him being a coaching candidate for the last few years, and he shouldn't have to prove it. So Chuck Hoffman said he'll play backup $20 million for a year.
$25 million a year, absolutely. All right, so James, do you think that this was the right move for Bieniemy?
Well, if no one's going to give him a head coach based on what LaShawn McCoy said about him, then I think he had no other option. This league is just, hey, if you know someone or if someone says something and it comes out, well, people are going to consider that as a fact. They won't hire you. And it seems like what McCoy said, where Bieniemy had nothing to do with the success of the passing game. And I remember something that happened a while back where somebody mentioned, well, Andy Reid makes the play calls, right? He has the Denny's menu right there, or Waffle House menu, and a Reebok cheeseburger menu and all that. So he makes the plays. He calls the plays. And we found that out a couple of years ago. I think that hurt Bieniemy as well. But everybody should have a chance. There's no doubt about it. It's highlighted more in the NFL than anywhere else. But when several of Bieniemy's players came out and defended him, I think that opened up a good thing for Bieniemy. Now the thing is with Bieniemy though, he's going to Washington where he doesn't have a surplus of talent like he did with Kansas City. That's going to be the hard thing. And the fact that Washington is signing or starting Sam Howell instead of Heineke and Jake Fromm is also on the quarterback list, and Wentz as well, but I don't even want to count him. He's going to have to deal with less talent. And I know the schemes are great. You know, you have the jet sweep touchdowns and the zone runs, the great passing and all that. But you also have to have Travis Kelce. You have to have Tyreek Hill. You have to have Juju. You have to have MVS and all these running backs they've had that they went through. You know, Isaiah Pacheco. You have to scout really well. And that doesn't come on Bieniemy. That comes on the scouts of Washington. And we know that whole organization doesn't do anything right and starts from the top. Hopefully the team gets sold and that could start a whole new era. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. So hopefully Bieniemy has the talent that he can actually prove himself. And it's a tough division, by the way. They were the only team that didn't make the playoffs last year. And they're coming in this season, off season, with, less. So he has a mountain to climb there in Washington.
All right. Well, thank you for those in-depth observations of Eric Bieniemy there. So we're going to go into our final topic of the evening. We have about 8 minutes to get an opinion from each of you. This is going to be baseball related. And I had to do this because J-Mac is on here and I haven't heard any baseball related stuff from J-Mac in a while. I'm going to start out with his opinion about how you feel the move the Atlanta Braves did. Were you okay with it? And were you okay with the loss of Dansby Swanson at shortstop? Do you think that they have enough answers at shortstop?
Yes. Here's what I'll tell you. I mean, hopefully at least we don't have a guy that strikes out at least once for the first 10 games of the season this year. He's like the first guy in Major League history to do that 4 seasons in a row or something.
Right.
I don't know. Everyone forgets this, and I bring this up all the time in all the Facebook fan groups for the Braves when they all talk about it. Arcia was a all-star shortstop in Milwaukee. Now, do I think he can be an all-star caliber shortstop the entire season? No. But can he come in and platoon with someone else and play at an all-star level in the games he plays in? Yes, he can. So, yes, I think we're fine.
Vaughn Grissom. He will platoon with Vaughn Grissom at shortstop.
Absolutely. But the other thing about Arcia is he can play second base. He can play third base. He can play right field. I mean, and he could DH. So you have a guy who can play anywhere and give everyone a day off.
Mm-hmm. Now, let me ask you,
even if he's not all-star caliber, you got a guy who can hit 270, hit 15 to 20 homers, and drive in 50 to 60 runs. I'll take that on my bench any day of the week.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with me being a Braves fan too, I agree with you. I think that the move that shocked me, but I'm definitely okay with it. But I wanted to get your opinion on it too. Even though it shocked me a little bit, I was actually shocked that the Braves went out and traded for Sean Murphy when Atlanta had Travis d'Arnaud at catcher, and we know what he's been doing. So, J-Mac, did this move kind of surprise you when they did that?
Oh, let's say yes and no, both. I mean, going and getting another catcher was kind of surprising when you have d'Arnaud. You had d'Arnaud and Contreras from last year. But the problem I had with Contreras is he became a big either hit a home run or strike out. That's where Contreras went. And the thing with d'Arnaud is d'Arnaud is never going to play 162 games. And when he plays, he's good. So even if you split them right down the middle, 81 and 81 at catcher, well, they can each play another 30 to 40 games at DH. So you could still get 120 games to 130 games out of both of them. There's not a better tandem at catcher / DH in baseball than if you get Sean Murphy and Travis d'Arnaud for 130 games apiece.
Aren't they both ranked in the top
Yeah.
five?
And that's both in the top 10 for
Top 10?
catcher in baseball. It doesn't get better than that.
Right? Yeah. It doesn't. It doesn't. So, Big B, for you, really quick, your thoughts on the upcoming season for the Minnesota Twins.
If a certain person's watching that calls me out every time, I said it last year, I'll say it again. They're third place at best. I can see them falling off the third place unless that pitcher steps up. And right now, I don't have faith in my pitchers. I don't have a idea who's playing first base. So right now, the starting pitching, bullpen, closer, all up in the air. First base up in the air. If they finish third, I will be happy.
Hey, you got Carlos Correa back.
Yeah, we got Carlos Correa back because we went shopping at the mall. We wanted something and we bought it. So after somebody bought it 3 other times.
No, you didn't buy it. That was more like someone else bought it off Amazon, returned it. Then someone bought it off of Wish and returned it. And you guys swoop in and you're like, oh, Facebook Marketplace leftovers? Got it.
Yeah, no, exactly right. J-Mac, you're right. He signed 3 contracts this year
Right.
So yeah, there's questions. Hopefully in the next few weeks we'll start seeing some of those questions answered for the Twins.
The typical Twins fashion, right?
Yep.
Typical Twins fashion. All right. James, your thoughts going into the season. You got a couple minutes here to give your thoughts on your Angels coming into the season.
Oh God, where do I start? Imagine Correa telling his family, like, hey, we're going to San Francisco. Hey, we're going to New York. Oh, we're going back to Minnesota. I just thought about that. I never thought
his wife liked it here, so who knows?
That's good though. That's good. Well, I like that the Angels did go out and get a left-handed starting pitcher, Tyler Anderson. I'm still holding out hope that they get Trevor Bauer. Right now, the Dodgers are paying $22 million for him not to play for him. He's out there. You give him the league minimum. Boom. Give a chance to prove himself. You already have bad PR with ownership. Your stadium is a dump. Your fans don't care about the team. Why not Trevor Bauer? Bring him on in. Let's go. I do like the Hunter Renfroe trade from Milwaukee. I think maybe he can do something really good. It all depends on, honestly, health. Anthony Rendon, he's usually injured by June, and then we don't see him anymore until, September when he just hangs out with everybody in the dugout. Mike Trout, hopefully he can play a whole season, with some days off. But he's again someone that's injury prone. And then the whole issue with Shohei Ohtani, with him being a free agent after the season, I don't have faith that they'll bring him back. They'll have to throw the pocketbook at him. That's an old usage of a word, but
he's going to get paid.
Yeah, he's going to get at least $500 million, I think. So, hey, I'm gonna have to pay a lot of money to get tickets, in the future for him. But I think it'd be good if they re-signed him back. But it's all about health and our new guys coming in, and hopefully they make an impact. But a lot has to go right for the Angels to do well this year, because the whole division got better other from Oakland. So keep that in mind about the AL East.
Yep.
All right. Well,
AL West.
Well, thank you, James, for coming in and crapping on the Angels. It was basically just a crap fest of the Angels right there. Okay.
Well, that's reality, yeah.
All right. So we definitely want to thank everybody for watching an episode of Sports Minute. We want to thank J-Mac for hopping on here towards the very end, kind of giving his thoughts on a few topics here. So, for our final wrap-up, James, go ahead and kick us off with your final thoughts.
Thank you for having me on, and I need to vent on the Angels, so that felt good before the season starts.
All right. And Big B, how about you?
Thanks for having us. Thanks for watching, Christy and Chuck. Keep checking out C2C all week long. We got a lot of great shows coming up. So, see you next week.
And J-Mac.
I'm just here so I don't get fined.
Yeah, there you go. Yep, he's just here so he doesn't get fined. So, definitely thanks everybody for watching. It was another fun episode of Sports Minute. You can catch us again next Wednesday for another edition of Sports Minute, and we'll have some wonderful topics for you next week. So with that, everyone have a fantastic evening, and we'll see you next Wednesday night.